Hello and welcome back to World 360. Why has a Chinese research ship's plans to dock at the Maldives raised alarm bells? Did the world's richest man just back India for a permanent seat on the UN Security Council? We answer these and more in today's episode. So first up, a Chinese ship heading for Maldives. On Monday, the Chinese vessel entered the Indian Ocean and is expected to dock at the Maldivian capital, Malé, on 8th February. Let's not forget that this comes weeks after Sri Lanka, where such Chinese vessels were given permission to dock till the start of this year, were temporarily banned from berthing in Sri Lanka's ports or operating within Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone, also known as the EEZ. Therefore, while this development may seem like the latest jolt to India-Maldives ties, which have been rocky of late, it also holds great significance for the rest of the neighborhood. This ship is called Xiang Yang Hong 03 and had departed from the Chinese port of Sanya on 16th January. What do we mean by research vessel? Well, this ship is expected to explore and survey the southern Indian Ocean for 5 months from January to May. It is suspected of operating unmanned gliders underwater to map the seabed. This could be used for both civilian and defense purposes. Now, on 3rd January, Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu had given permission to the Chinese research vessels to dock in the Maldives, which raised many eyebrows. Meanwhile, his government does not intend to renew an agreement that had allowed India for many years to survey Maldivian waters. Since coming into power late last year, Muizzu has been reviewing bilateral and diplomatic agreements with other countries, which he feels could jeopardize his country's sovereignty. Already, the Maldives has given India 15 March as a deadline to remove Indian military personnel stationed on the island for humanitarian and medvac services. But let's also not forget that Muizzu's government allowing Chinese ships to dock in the Maldives came after he undertook an official state visit to China this month, where he signed over 20 agreements. This new development has also raised fears that the Muizzu government is being pulled further into China's orbit of influence. Earlier this month, Maldives announced a deal to purchase Turkish-made drones to patrol the high seas, a task presently done by India in partnership with the Maldivian Defense Forces. Now, the Chinese ship in question has also been referred to by some reports as a spy ship, since whatever information it obtains could be used for naval intelligence or even planning submarine operations. In the past, Xiang Yang Hong 03 has also been accused of running dark, which means operating without broadcasting its position, and this incident happened in Indonesian waters. For our second topic, we're looking at how the richest man on earth has backed India's bid for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. Now, the Security Council, as you know, is one of the most powerful organs of the United Nations, and a permanent seat is something India and several developing countries like Brazil have been pining for. Currently, there are 5 permanent members: China, France, Russia, the UK and the US. There are also 10 non-permanent members elected for 2-year terms. On Monday, American entrepreneur and Tesla CEO Elon Musk said it was absurd that India didn't have a seat at the UN Security Council. This came after the UN Secretary General questioned the lack of representation of the African Union in the Security Council and demanded that institutions of global governance be reformed. Let's not forget that Tesla reportedly plans to invest $2 billion in India to set up manufacturing in the country in return for 15% concessional duty on imported vehicles during the company's first 2 years of operations. But Tesla's entrance into the Indian market is believed to be facing delays because of pushback from local automakers. Now, India's bid for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council has been supported by other countries like the US, France, and even Russia. But its bid is also part of its larger call for the reform of multilateral institutions. If you recall, last March, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had, during a G20 meeting in India, stated that multilateralism is in crisis. This was also when global divisions were especially high between Russia and the West over the Ukraine war. Global governance failed in both its mandates of preventing future wars and fostering international cooperation on issues of common interest, the Indian Prime Minister had said. Last year saw the inclusion of the African Union in the G20 after other international organizations like the EU had enjoyed a seat at the table for years. Could such steps offer a ray of hope for countries like India and in the global south? which have been rarely invited to such powerful tables, let alone given a permanent seat. For our last topic, we're looking at the Russian foreign ministers meeting with counterparts from Iran, Turkey and Lebanon on the sidelines of a Security Council meeting in New York. Now, during these meetings, the situation in Gaza and Yemen were discussed. As we know, this comes at a time when tensions in the Red Sea are high due to attacks from Yemen's Houthi rebels on commercial ships. A statement from the Russian government said the ministers had a comprehensive exchange of opinions on the current agenda in the Middle East and expressed their support for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and securing conditions for humanitarian assistance to the residents of the enclave. They expressed general concern about the tensions in the Red Sea, which escalated abruptly as a result of irresponsible use of force by the United States and several associated countries against Yemen. Now, the US and UK have also been carrying out airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen, which, as you read, has only raised fears of a possible spillover of a regional war. Calls for a ceasefire in Gaza have only increased, and the Iranian and Russian foreign ministers have called US airstrikes in the region irresponsible. Already, there is a US-led military alliance in the Red Sea tasked with protecting commercial ships. Now, the Israel-Hamas war has so far claimed the lives of over 25,000 Palestinians, while over 60,000 have reportedly been wounded. International agencies have warned of a grave humanitarian crisis unfolding in the small enclave where food, clean water and medical supplies are sparse. The Israeli offensive in Gaza has left 85% of Gaza's population displaced, and over half of the total infrastructure in the enclave has been damaged or destroyed, according to the UN. Russia and China have emerged as major global players calling for a ceasefire and cessation of violence in Gaza. Meanwhile, Russia has been accused of breaking international law itself with its war in Ukraine. Thanks for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint.